Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Phil Ashman. I'm the Regional Dean for the Central Okanagan, and we're joining you on the traditional and unceded territory of the Syilx Okanagan people, home of the Westbank First Nation. So I'm here to kind of host tonight. In fact, Joanna, when she asked me, I kind of looked at her and I went, are you sure? This is the guy who forgot to introduce his boss at the last donor event. But here we are. So Jim, I'm really humbled to be here, celebrating this evening with you. I don't know if celebrating is the right word. But,
this is your second and final chance, Phil.
No, honestly, I really didn't think that this would be the way we'd be doing your farewell. I figured we'd be in the Center for Learning, stacked to the rafters, me sampling some of your select wines, maybe stealing them. But for the most part, I think we're going to make this still a memorable night. We've got lots of stories here for you, and we've got lots of people online here with us tonight. And if you have any comments or things you'd like to share, please put those in the chat. We are going to download them and share them with Jim after the presentation. So first of all, again, thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to be reading. I do have a script that I need to stay to, so we don't go too off topic. But for Jim, obviously, this is your night as well. So if you would like to comment on a couple of things, maybe 2 comments, maybe not 3, feel free to jump in and add to some of the information that, to be honest, I'm learning a lot about you from this as well. We have lots of family, friends, colleagues, politicians, retired politicians, employees, presidents, future presidents from other institutions. In fact, there's just far too many of you to name who have played a very important role in the college and in Jim's career. We're also here to celebrate, obviously, the many contributions that Jim has made to post-secondary education during his career. And obviously, while we can't see you all on this webinar platform, please, as I mentioned, do leave a personal message, and Jim will get to see that after tonight. Moving on, let me see here. Okay, so now, as I said, this is kind of a formal event, but you know what? We're going to keep it semi-formal, obviously. This is sort of the final hurrah. I really wish we could have done this in person. But just to start, Jim, you are often heard quoting Okanagan College's mission statement, transforms lives and communities. So as we will hear tonight, you lived that even before it was the Okanagan College's mission statement. So your association with the Okanagan started when you were born in Vernon a few years ago, and we won't say which year. But you left soon after as your military father was posted around the world. You returned to the Okanagan with your family after you completed your master's degree at Queen's University. And I understand you were headed west to take up a position at the University of Victoria that didn't materialize. I don't know if that's another good story. So instead, you arrived back in the Okanagan with your wife Liz and 3 daughters. Within a few weeks, you were hired by Okanagan College to teach in a term position. And you went from the ivy-covered limestone walls of Queen's University to the Vernon campus army huts. Plastic sheets of storm windows, no door in your office, and walls that made up only 3/4 of a real wall. So here we have a photo of you teaching in the army hut in the early 80s. I think you've seen it before.
Yeah, once or twice.
So quick question for you. Do you remember what you were hired to teach in 1980?
English.
Remember the sections?
Oh, I have no idea.
No idea?
No, but it would have been for English, first year English.
First year English, yeah. So we looked that up for you.
Yeah.
English 111, Composition and Literature. And that was in Vernon. And you also taught English 99, Remedial Writing. And that was in Salmon Arm. Do you remember what you were paid in your first semester?
Not nearly enough, but I don't recall what it was.
Apparently it's $3,666.67. And with that, we have a message tonight for you from John Lent. And for those of you online, John was a professor who worked alongside Jim for many years in the English department, and then is the regional dean at the Vernon campus before his retirement.
Well, I want to thank Liz Hamilton and Joanna Campbell for including me in this celebration for Jim. It's been 10 years since I resigned from Okanagan College. Second, my heartfelt congratulations to Jim Hamilton, my old friend, for doing an amazing job at Okanagan College over the past 40 years, but especially in his role as president. I wanted to say something at this celebration because I have known Jim all the way through our long services at Okanagan College, and especially our work together in the English department through the wild, transformative years as we changed from Okanagan College to Okanagan University College to a new, even more dynamic version of Okanagan College in the end. Our departmental growth and development required political involvement with colleagues like Pat Colbert, Michael Griffin, Howard Reimer, Mary Ellen Holland, Melanie Murray, and many others. We all worked diligently through situations and times that were complex, and Jim and I were involved politically because we were instinctively dedicated to the ideas of accessibility and community and the notions of what a community college could be and achieve in Canadian culture. And we also knew we had to be part of the decision making and hiring in order to complete those notions. When I first met Jim Hamilton, he was holding his youngest daughter Heather on his shoulders in a small bakery here in Vernon. He and his young wife Liz had just arrived from Queen's University in Kingston, 3 young daughters in tow, and it was instantly clear that Jim and Liz were both social activists who had participated in numerous community ventures in Kingston, particularly ventures that involved solving housing issues, food issues, the growing of food in communal gardens, the setting up of co-op programs to make the purchasing of food more affordable. And from there, everything else that unfolded. But not every employee at an institution like Okanagan College can rise up through its ranks to serve as its president for 16 years. In fact, there are very few who could do that and do it as well as Jim has. I remember thinking when we discovered we were going to be building a new iteration of Okanagan College back in 2005 that we couldn't have found a better leader than Jim Hamilton. I knew there was no one else I had worked alongside for years who could step into that job and do it perfectly. Jim Hamilton was the only one of us who could fuse the history of this institution to a future only he could see clearly. Jim, you've done so much for others like me. You've been so generous to those of us who left before you. I just think now it's important to congratulate you on being such a good president of Okanagan College. No one else could have done what you did. And all your former colleagues are standing back in awe of you now, and we are all clapping enthusiastically with love and respect. Well done. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So Jim, you taught for several years in contract term positions before becoming a permanent employee in July 1989. During that time, I understand you also ran a market research and communications company and did concert promotions. And now that you were permanent, you decided to leave. And in 1990, you left the college to take up the position of Manager of Information Services at School District 22 in Vernon. So we asked Bob Eby, who worked with you at the school district and later joined you at Okanagan College as Vice President, Finance, to say a few words about your time together at the school district.
Most of you know that Jim began teaching at Okanagan College in Vernon in the late Middle Ages, but some of you may not be aware that Jim did time at the Vernon School District before returning to the college in a leadership role. Jim was initially hired as a public relations officer for the board. Elected boards can easily get themselves into trouble on seemingly minor issues, and I remember one incident when a member of the board introduced a motion to put condoms into high schools on the next meeting agenda. You can imagine that board meeting. But right out of the gate, Jim handled the role well. He also led the district through one of the best strategic planning processes I've witnessed. However, within a couple of years, the nemesis of all our careers raised its ugly head, and we were into budget cuts. In order to protect his position, Jim was given additional administrative duties. I believe Jim's experience in administration at the school district laid the groundwork for the development of his outstanding leadership style. I would characterize this part of Jim's experience as the good, the bad, and the ugly. First, the good. Jim and I had the privilege of working under a great superintendent, Mike McAvoy. Mike was a true gentleman, and his leadership style was inclusive, supportive, and always positive. He worked with many less than stellar administrators and was always patient and always achieved his objectives. I've talked with Jim about Mike, and I know that Jim regarded Mike as a role model. And at the college, I witnessed the same outstanding qualities in Jim. Now the bad, or at least not so good. Some elements of school administration could be charitably characterized as not appreciating support staff. As an example, at a meeting after I explained the future replacement costs of a proposed computer plan, one principal got up and said, "I never thought I would see the day when a bean counter was determining educational policy in this district." I know that Jim faced similar experiences, especially around budget time, and he also saw how these attitudes played out with the staff he supervised. One of Jim's great qualities is that he always goes out of his way to ensure that all staff feel valued no matter what their roles. The ugly. The school district undertook a points-based job evaluation of management. The result was a disaster on the non-educational side and created a lot of ill will. Jim became an implacable foe of points-based evaluation. I was personally disappointed to see Jim return to the college, but in my view, he was underemployed at the school district and undervalued by some. More than one board member recognized this and mentioned to me later how delighted they were to see Jim succeed at the college. At the district, we talked often about OUC and his board activities. When he left the district, he asked me to join the board, and I presume he had me nominated. Unfortunately, it was the only job I was ever fired from. Thanks, Jim. I was the chair of the Finance Committee, and the letter of dismissal cited financial irresponsibility on the part of the board. But Jim never held this against me. Working with Jim at the college was a great end to my career. Based on my experience in a number of positions, including the school district, I am keenly aware that the work environment fostered by Jim's leadership style at the college is a rare occurrence, and it deserves to be celebrated by us all. Congratulations, Jim, on your retirement and a great career.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. I have a quick question for you. So concert promotions, just wondering,
Well,
what was the most famous one, maybe the most memorable concert?
I won't talk about the most memorable one we lost a lot of money on, but my partner from those days is online tonight, Malvin William. So we were partners in this venture. And don't ask us how we got into concert promotions, but I think Katie Lang was probably the most famous one that we did promote, along with Spirit of the West.
Spirit of the West,
Yeah.
cool. So, as Bob noted, you couldn't stay away from Okanagan College for long, as you were appointed to serve on the Okanagan College Board in 1992. So Dr. Bill Bowering, who was obviously the president of OC during this time, provided us with a message for you. So he wasn't able to record it, but he did ask that we write it down for him. He said, "I met Jim in 1980 when he held a term appointment and taught the English course for the Business Administration program. Jim made a concerted effort to structure this course such that the practical language needs of the students were accommodated. His efforts were very well received. A later association came when Jim was appointed to the College Board in 1992. Having been involved in the operation of the college as a faculty member, Jim brought a perspective of the college which most board members did not have and which proved to be very helpful to the board. He also was very adept in helping the board to develop a consensus, especially when difficult issues were under consideration. I think that these attributes were appreciated and well received by the chair and other members of the board. Over the 16 years of Jim's term as president, the breadth of the educational programs and the geographical distribution has increased substantially, and an excellent relationship has been established with the University of British Columbia, Okanagan. After the MacDonald Report was issued in 1962 and the Public School Act amended in 1963, the school trustees of the regional school districts, and in particular the members of the College Council that was formed as a consequence, struggled to bring post-secondary education to the college region and its residents. I believe that they would be very pleased with what has been achieved, and I hope that Jim gains much personal satisfaction from his significant contribution to this achievement, and that his many years of retirement are refreshing and enjoyable." So you served on the OC board until 1997 when your term ended, but again, you weren't absent from what was then Okanagan University College for long. And in 1998, you returned to OUC, where Katie Bindom was the president, and hired you temporarily to take on the roles of Kalamalka campus principal to replace Whitney Buggy after you retired. And you were permanently appointed to that position in 1999. I think we have a picture of the old boardroom. Alan Markin, who was the campus principal at the Penticton campus when he took on the role in Vernon, notes, "We didn't know what to do with Jim when he joined the campus principals group. He was just too focused and rational, whereas the three amigos, Alan, Clyde, and Whitney, depended more on bluster and begging, the old multi-campus thing. We knew we had a serious problem when he was slow to embrace our penchant for single malt whiskey, but he did come around eventually. It soon became apparent that Jim had a superior administrative skill set. He was always willing to share his insights on serious institutional matters with us, and he approached difficult issues with good humor and equanimity. I can say that I was not surprised when he was appointed president of Okanagan College. He was a perfect fit, not least because he fully understood and supported the college's multi-campus distributed services model, but also because he has a personality that can be trusted to do the right thing. Okanagan College has been enriched by his dedication to ensuring that all campuses were treated fairly when it came to the resource allocation. Jim is a man who is easy to respect. Congratulations, Jim, on your retirement, but don't get too comfortable doing nothing. I'm sure that you will be called on to share your leadership skills. You will be a great asset to the community, and I suspect to post-secondary education as well. It is much too soon to put you out to pasture.
Thanks, Alan.
So one of your more ambitious projects during your time as campus principal in Vernon was convincing the OUC board and the government to let you borrow funds to expand campus by constructing a new building to accommodate the Continuing Studies Department and the International Education. We have a picture, I believe, of the ribbon cutting. Jim, you worked closely with Aidan Kiernan, the Associate Vice President of Facilities on this project, and he noted the following. I met Jim when he was campus principal at Vernon campus, and we began a relationship with mutual respect. The Okanagan was a very new experience for me, and all, including Jim, were most welcoming. I worked with Jim and his faculty in developing and seeing a successful expansion to the Vernon campus, which I trust was to everyone's satisfaction and hope it continues so to this day. When circumstances changed, the Okanagan College and UBCO evolved from OUC. I ended up at the UBCO facility. It was a time of change, turmoil, and excitement for many of us, and it seems that for Okanagan College, it was also an opportunity to grow and expand its influence in the area that includes most of the region, Penticton, Salmon Arm, Revelstoke, etc. The many new and improved facilities attest to this. In my opinion, appointing Jim Hamilton was a stroke of cleverness and foresight when he was made president of Okanagan College. His contribution to the college will benefit students for a long time. Good luck to Jim and his family, and wish them a long and happy retirement. We've got a couple more. As Aidan alluded to, the trajectory of your career took a turn on March the 17th, 2004, when UBC came to town. Jim Souls, who worked for the provincial government, was appointed to act as the public administrator for OUC in the spring of 2004. And Jim notes, Jim Souls, that is, I had to appoint someone quickly to ensure that the college side would also get the care and attention it needed for a challenging transition. Over the first week or so, I chatted regularly to deans, directors, faculty, and administrative staff about a range of issues, sometimes in a formal setting and sometimes over a beer or coffee or two. About 10 people made suggestions without me asking on who should lead the college during the transition. Only one person was suggested by all those people, Jim Hamilton. Now, this wasn't exactly proper HR protocol for appointing an interim president, but it seemed to me from the obvious respect he had from his colleagues, my own positive interactions with him, and a little quiet checking of him inside and outside of OUC, that Jim was the obvious choice. I asked Jim if he'd be willing to take on the challenge, and his usual thoughtful and measured way, he agreed to do so. Seems like that worked out pretty well for the college. So following your appointment to lead the transition, you assembled a crack team of other administrators with impeccable fashion sense to work with you. You also hired the consultation team of Glenn Harris and Alice Mansell to help with the transition. Alice, who served in positions ranging from faculty member, assistant dean, department chair, vice president academic, and president of Nova Scotia College of Art and Design during her career, has the following message for you.
Glenn Harris and I met Jim Hamilton at the very dawn of this iteration of Okanagan College. We knew they faced enormous challenges. We knew that the least of these was going to be regaining the trust of the shattered members of Okanagan University College, and we knew that there were many pitfalls that had befallen good initiatives before. But we were persuaded by Jim and his excellent and small team that we would help them to build a fair process upon which to build Okanagan College. So what I want to do today is to just tell you about one incident that I think really exemplifies Jim's leadership and his capacity that has led to the building of Okanagan College as a thriving organization, and I think as a major contributor to the success of UBC Okanagan and to the learning communities right across the Okanagan. About a year into the lurching process of separation, Glenn and I, at Jim's invitation, attended a big assembly. At that assembly, the speakers were a member of the ministry that had been allocated to assist with the separation, the president of UBC, the new president of, or the new leader of UBC Okanagan, and the lead of a big consulting company that had been engaged. As we listened to the presentations, Glenn and I looked around the room and we saw an escalating number of people's shoulders begin to be hunched and glum looks on their faces. Then Jim came to the podium, the last of the speakers, and began to speak. We could see then, that everyone knew Jim, and they knew that he represented a kind of integrity and honesty, that if he made promises to develop a process wherein everyone was going to be heard, that it would come to pass. He was able to tell some stories about how this endeavor was going to build the success of Okanagan College and of UBCO. That struck a chord. We saw the shoulders start to flatten out, and we began to see people kind of engaging with the idea that that was something that they could work on. And I think that that chord resonates today across the organization. Jim's one of those few, very, very few leaders who can not only start to rebuild and reinvent an organization from the ground up, but also grow it, get people to learn, to change, to create new approaches so that every stage of its growth, its executive team, the students, the staff, the faculty, then everybody is engaged and ready to meet the challenges that constantly and in an accelerated fashion seem to hit us every day. Frankly, and I know Glenn has, recommended Jim to way too many people. He's legendary across the country. We worked with over 35 different organizations, and we know for a fact that his example, his growth, his development, his success in this region has been a bit of a lighthouse for many people. His love of literature, his generosity, openness, his sense of humor, he does appreciate my sense of humor, and his vision have been an example to us all. I know that all of us who've worked with him have benefited from that work, and I would say we're even smarter because of it. I want to say that I'll always be a fan of Jim's, and I know that his retirement is not going to be very long.
Thanks, Alice. But your trademark sense of humor plus the implied threat at the end, delivered as usual beautifully by you. Thank you.
So throughout late 2004 and early 2005, the transition team made the decision after decision to ensure that the new Okanagan College would be ready to open its doors on July the 1st, 2005. Officially, in late 2004, the board appointed you as president of the new Okanagan College. And not satisfied with just going back to the way things were before OUC, you and your team had the rare opportunity to create something new. Alan Coyle, who you may know, worked alongside you during the transition and is now Okanagan College's Associate Vice President of External Relations, has the following message for you. Video.
Hey, Jim. I'm going to cast us a long way back to March 2004, when news of the seismic change in the post-secondary landscape landed here. It didn't take long for you and I to realize that there was going to be a significant branding challenge for the new Okanagan College. UBC was going to cast a huge shadow, and the new OC had to emerge as something more than just the leftovers and a paler version of its former self. To shorten the story, you and the rest of the team supported me as we recruited the services of Canada's foremost social branding agency. Manifest Communications came to understand the challenge and the opportunities at hand. A lot of legwork, research, and interviews led us to the point where we unveiled the college's new brand in late June 2005. But I know you'll remember a last-minute scramble we faced in the few days before the unveiling. So the rest of the audience knows, at just about the time we were going to send materials to the printers, ads to the newspapers, there was a certain colleague institution in BC who informed us that they were going to have a real issue with our proposed logo, which at that point was a rectangle with our name on it. Never mind that their logo was a different color and it wasn't the only logo shape they were using. They were just going to be bitchy if we went down our intended path. The shape of the logo wasn't a critical component of our branding, however, and with the input of consultants and the executive, Okanagan College logo morphed into the round red dot that it is today. You and Norm Embry unveiled it on June 30th before a gathered collection of employees and students, and it's become an iconic symbol of Okanagan College. Easily identified from a distance, simple yet strong, no ivy. It stood the test of time and has done the job that you and I and many others had demanded of it. And then, of course, some astute Chinese students on campus at the time of the unveiling quickly disclosed that the similarity of our logo to the Japanese flag might prove an issue in recruiting internationally, which explains why the logo today has a slightly different look on our international materials, sitting atop a stylized globe. We have on occasion toyed with different possible versions of the logo, one of which I showed to you about 10 years ago. I tried to tell you that I could foresee what was coming and that this version would distinguish us nationally, but you'd have no part of it. Never mind that I thought it would make a bold statement about higher education. Jim, you've been a proud ambassador for Okanagan College from moment one, and you've faithfully worn the logo on your lapel almost every day and worked it for all it's worth. You know better than anyone just what a strong, enduring symbol the red round dot is, and I'll be the first to say that your unwavering leadership has certainly helped imbue it with its strength and meaning. Thanks, Jim, and I still think there's a place for the green leaf logo.
Thanks, Alan, for that stroll down memory lane.
So since 2004-5, Okanagan College has seen so much success under your leadership. There's been an increase in full-time equivalents numbers from 5,582 in 2005-6 to 9,093 in 2019-20. Okanagan's college's utilization rates have consistently been over 100%. In fact, there are simply too many things for us to highlight tonight, but we know there are several things that are particularly important to you that we want to focus on. So concerning students, obviously connecting students and connecting with students and celebrating their success has always been a priority for you. And Drew Vincent, a graduate of our business program and founder of Stay at Home Fundraising, has the following message for you.
Jim, it is truly an honor to be here tonight, and I'm very grateful to be able to share just a small piece of gratitude for the impact that you had on me, and hopefully extend that to the other students and people that you've impacted along the way. When I first started going to Okanagan College, I had no intention whatsoever of doing a full degree. I popped in to do a diploma, and when I began, I quickly found something was a bit different, and I enjoyed my time, and I made a lot of connections and found a sense of belonging. And a lot of that started with my involvement with SIFE and then into Enactus. I never realized how much of a supporter you were behind the scenes. When I first encountered you, you were just a really nice guy that came in and picked up the dinner tab after we had won regionals. And then following that and getting more into the leadership positions and seeing just how influential you were behind the scenes and making sure that we had the support and resources we needed, made a huge impact. When we went and traveled to other different regionals and events, it was very clear that the schools that were the most successful were the ones that had support from the administration. And I don't think that that is in any way uncorrelated activity. I think that we were very successful, and the amount of support and the amount of encouragement that you gave us was a huge part of that. I think that that continued on for education, whether it was all my classes, case studies, things like that. I never would have imagined when I enrolled that I would be able to deliver a thank you speech to the president of the college, or during my time I would have had the opportunity to travel with you to Quebec City to speak. And I think that it just goes to speak how much you put in, how much you cared, and how big of an impact you made for the students that were there. And while I don't think a lot of them are quite aware of that impact, I hope that you really, really do take pride in the fact that it has had a huge, huge impact on myself and a lot of other students. So I really hope that you enjoy retirement and some much earned time off. And I look forward to staying in touch in the future. And I really hope you have a great night tonight. Thank you very much for all that you do.
Thank you, Drew. Some of my favorite moments have been the time I've spent with students. So thanks for those comments.
Thanks, Drew. And so another key focus for you has been sustainability. And since 2005, the college has consistently been in the midst of one capital project after another. We've had the Center for Learning, daycare buildings in Kelowna and Penticton, the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Building Technologies and Renewable Energy Conservation in Penticton, trades buildings in Kelowna, Vernon, Salmon Arm, and Penticton, the Health Sciences Center in Kelowna, and our most recent announcement of residences in Salmon Arm, Vernon, and Kelowna. Early on, the college decided to make sustainability a priority, and Andrew Hay, the Provost and Vice President Academic at Okanagan College, and someone who's worked for you since before the transition, and hired me actually, shared the following message for you.
Hi, Jim. Well, I don't usually do video messages. I feel like I should be doing a Rick Mercer rant, walking down some graffiti-laden back alley in Ontario but I don't have that, so I'm just going to use the Okanagan as a backdrop, and I promise not to rant at all. Now, Joanna asked me to talk about sustainability and the journey we've been on. I don't think you imagined back in 2005 just how things are going to develop at the college, but it sure has been impressive. It's been a continual litany of new buildings, all with a high degree of sustainability built in. Of course, this was a continuation of some of OUC's initiatives, dating back to the sewage treatment heat recovery project, but you were able to take it much, much further. Just think, we've completed LEED Silver, Gold, even Platinum. Then we went into Living Building Challenge, Passive House, WELL Standard, and even Net Carbon Zero Challenge. The buildings are fantastic, and a credit to your leadership. Every region has new and better facilities for our students and our employees. But it is funny how things turn out sometimes, isn't it? Remember the Penticton Building Project? We were pushing the envelope pretty hard around sustainable energy design and took a leap of faith when selecting architects to go after LBC, far more than an energy standard. The next thing we knew, we were into a Center of Excellence project, whether we liked it or not. Just one thing led to another. So our push into a sustainable future embodied far more than environmental aspects to include social and economic. Remember the three things: student demand, employer demand, and a sustainable business plan. It really all stemmed from changing lives and communities. The leadership you have shown has indeed contributed to a sustainable future at Okanagan College and the regions we serve. But like everything we do, you have to be able to measure it. So then we got into stars. That was a bit of a risk, as we didn't know where we were going to land and how we were going to be compared to others. But like everything you've taken on, it was well positioned and has helped us to continue to improve all aspects of sustainability. So I know you can be very proud of these accomplishments, and I'm certain that the importance of sustainability will continue to play a key role here at Okanagan College, that it will continue to differentiate us as true leaders in this critical area. Thanks again, Jim, for being a great leader and staying true to the purpose of the college. You took us from a turbulent start into a sustainable future, one that we all appreciate and cherish. Best wishes in your retirement, and I hope we can get together often and discuss the latest developments in sustainable education.
Well, thanks very much, Andrew. It's been great working with you, and I know you're going to continue after next week when I'm no longer in this chair, and the institution will continue to be guided by your good leadership as well.
So working with politicians and donors is an important part of any president's job, and sometimes those individuals are both. So we have the following message for you from Rick Thorpe, who served as an elected member of the BC legislature for many years, representing the South Okanagan.
So Jim Hamilton, retiring after 17 years as president of Okanagan College and 41 years in the education field. So first of all, Jim, thank you very much for doing all of that. But some of the things that I remember best about you, Jim, and your successes is you showed a very solid record of achievement. And I'd like to focus in on two areas. One, the students, and the second one would be the facilities and the facilities that we needed to build throughout the province. In 2006, Yasmin and I approached you and others on the possibility of us forming a scholarship fund to assist the students in the South Okanagan attend Okanagan College. And immediately you agreed that you would become a partner. And Yasmin and I have always been so appreciative of the fact that you did that. But more important than Yasmin and I and the scholarship and you being a partner is the students. As of this date, since the beginning of the scholarship fund, 71 students have received scholarships. So thanks for being our partner. And these students have come from the academic world, the trades world, and mature students, all in the South Okanagan. And I was fortunate enough to learn when I had a visit down with former Premier Gordon Campbell to Stanford University in California. And one of the professors was talking to us and telling us about their successes. And he told us the most important thing that communities can do is have good educational facilities near where the students are, because there's a good chance if you can get them to go to school close to home, there's a good chance they'll stay in the community and help build the communities for tomorrow. And I hope that's one of the things we're able to achieve through our scholarship fund. And I know, Jim, that you saw in your partnership that you too would be helping us help students. And we'll always be very appreciative of that and want to thank you very, very much for being our partner, an excellent partner in providing scholarships to students in the South Okanagan to attend Okanagan College. So thank you very, very much. The other area that I think is really quite important is your commitment to facilities. Facilities for the college in the communities throughout the Okanagan. And you've done a great job, in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of other people. I'm just going to focus though on Penticton. Penticton, you decided that you wanted to have something called a Center of Excellence in Penticton. And I remember, and Bill Barazoff and I were just talking about this today, of your approaching us and could we help with the provincial government get some funding for Okanagan College for a Center of Excellence. And so we worked away at it. You worked away at it. And lo and behold, the provincial government said, yes, we can contribute to such a fine project with one condition. And that one condition was that Okanagan College had to contribute $10 million to that fund to build a Center of Excellence. And I remember, Jim, month or 6 weeks before the 2009 election, and I wasn't seeking office again, that you called me, and I wouldn't say you were panicked, but you were concerned. And your concern was, as you said to me, Rick, we committed to the provincial government of having $10 million towards this project. And right as of now, we don't have that. And you asked me, what should we do? What should I do, Rick? And I said to you, Jim, has anybody from the provincial government called you about it? And you said no. And I said, keep your head down and just keep on going. And as it turned out, through the Okanagan College Foundation, which has just been a tremendous organization, in my opinion, to the college, got some fundraising in the communities going, and we're able to raise the $10 million. And what is the end result of all of that? It's a Jim Patterson Center of Excellence, a facility that you had the leadership on, and you challenged yourself and the college to live and build something, the Living Building Challenge Standards. And a lot of people in those days were saying, what does that mean? Well, it meant being a leader in the efficiencies of all of the concerns that the world faces today, and more importantly, tomorrow. And what happened? You and your team and your contractors and the workers achieved LEEDs Platinum, a tremendous, tremendous achievement for Okanagan College in Penticton and for the college throughout its reputation throughout the country and probably around the world. So Jim, I want to thank you on behalf of Yasmin and a whole bunch of other people in the Okanagan for your great leadership, your vision of the future, and delivering on those visions and those challenges which have benefited the students of the Okanagan and the communities of the Okanagan. I want to wish you and your good wife, Liz, all of the very, very best in the next chapter of your life. And please enjoy your time with your grandchildren. They will be a treasure. And I know I have had that experience. So Jim, thank you to you and your family for your dedication to education in the Okanagan. It is truly and deeply appreciated. All the best.
Well, thanks, Rick and Yasmin. Thank you for your leadership and your years of advice and for that relationship, which has gone from the very beginning of Okanagan College, because you were active on that file, the beginning right through to where we are today. So thanks very much for your personal generosity and your leadership on the fundraising, the things too. So great to see you. Thanks.
So another important focus for you has been Indigenous students.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2006, the first iteration of the new Okanagan College strategic plan was approved. One of the 8 key directions identified at that time was titled Aboriginal Communities. The description for that key direction was partner with Aboriginal communities to increase Aboriginal participation and success rates. And in 2016, when the most recent version of the strategic plan was released, that key direction was changed to working with and learning from the Indigenous community. The difference in the language used in these descriptions provides an insight into the importance you have placed in advancing the participation and success of Indigenous students at Okanagan College. This is also demonstrated by the increase in the number of Indigenous students at Okanagan College. In 2006-07, we had only 423 Indigenous students, and by 2018-19, that number has grown to 1,925. So Jim, I know one of the highlights of this year was when the Westbank First Nation honored your efforts to support the access of Indigenous students to higher learning by presenting you with a ceremonial blanket. And Chris Derrickson, the West Bank First Nation chief, has the following message for you.
So, who's this for?
That Jim guy.
Jim. President of Okanagan College.
I believe so, yeah.
Jim Hamill. Jim Hamilton. You're retiring, I'm told. Good. Enjoy it. Just kidding. Jim, it is an absolute honor to be speaking to you on the day of or the day before, a couple days before your retirement. I mean, we're all just finally glad to see you go. It's been a long time, Jim. Just kidding. Jim, I think I've said Jim too many times. President Hamilton, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you over the past several years, working with the college on the Board of Governors, serving alongside you as the chair of the Okanagan College, and then just working with you now as Onichon for West Bank First Nation. Jim, you are a one-of-a-kind individual. Now, don't let that get to your head. I'm sure Liz will bring you back down to earth. But I've learned so much from you. I remember as a young kid being chair of the Okanagan College Board of Governors. I was in my late 30s. Jim would come and ask me for advice. And I always wondered, why is this seasoned leader asking me what to do? But that taught me a lesson, Jim. That taught me that it's important that you respect those around you. You respect the opinions of all the people on your team. And Jim, you taught me to just believe in myself. And Jim, that's one of your greatest strengths that I've witnessed. Despite the fact that you like to talk a lot, you also believe wholeheartedly in the people around you. And you've believed wholeheartedly in Okanagan College and in the relationship the college has developed with West Bank First Nation. Jim, the entire region, the province, owes you a great debt of gratitude. And so I want to wish you and Liz a happy retirement. I'm sure, Liz, if he ever gets on your nerves, just give me a call. Jordan and I would always be glad to welcome you into our place. And he can be president for a day of the Derrickson household. Jim, looking forward to when we can finally get together in person again. Until then, happy retirement. Congratulations on a job well done. And to this point, a life well lived. Now on to the next venture.
Thanks so much, Chris. That planting ceremony was certainly one of the highlights of my life. I think that for our First Nations communities are in really good hands with the kind of leadership that you and your colleagues are providing to Indigenous communities. And we all will benefit with the strength of our relationship. And so thanks so much for all you did. And you did give good advice. And you didn't talk too long to give it to me. So thanks very much.
And Chris, if I could just follow up, my first event emceeing was when you were board chair. And I think that is the only time I've ever seen Jim have to step back from the mic. Well, thank you, Chris. Okay, talking about our national profile and the role you've played there over the years, you've also built up a national profile. And Denise Amiot, the president and CEO of the Colleges and Institutes Canada, has sent the following message for you.
I am both thrilled and honored to have been invited to say a few words about you, Jim. It has been both a privilege and a pleasure to have worked with you. I first met you when your college hosted the 2013 CICAN annual conference in the beautiful wine country of the Okanagan Valley. I was immediately struck by your passion for the college and institute system and your vision to make a difference for students and your community. Having gotten to know you better over the years, it is evident, Jim, that you are a nationally respected president and highly valued by numerous colleagues across the country. In fact, your peers awarded you with the CICAN Distinguished Service Award in 2016 for your extraordinary contributions to the college and institute system. You are an exceptional leader with a track record of transformational results and commitment not only to your college, your community, and your province, but also to Colleges and Institutes Canada. You have been a strong supporter of our association, and I cannot thank you enough for your contributions, not only as a passionate past member of our board of directors, but also for your active role in many of our advocacy events with key government officials. Jim, you made a lasting impression, not only on myself, but also on so many members of my staff. And not only because of the chocolate you brought to many of us. Your great sense of humor, your ability to turn a room around with your warm, relaxed approach, and of course, your passionate love of wine will certainly be part of our CICAN memories. In fact, you may not know Jim, but we sometimes call you Dionysus, the god of wine. And my staff like to remind me that you have a unique talent. You like to open your bottle of wine with a sword. Congratulations, Jim, on your retirement. Enjoy those wonderful Okanagan wines and warm wishes for the next chapter of your life. All the best, Jim. See you.
Thanks so much, Denise. You're a remarkable leader for colleges and institutes and post-secondary in general across the country and internationally. So words of praise coming from you, I think, feel even stronger to me, given the source. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with CICAN.
So that brings us to this past year. Obviously, nothing, it's been very difficult for all of us. And it was obviously not on the to-do list for the final year. But once again, as you've done throughout your career, you adjusted, you led the institution successfully through the last 12 months. So we had many people, obviously, who wanted to speak tonight to express their appreciation. And as a reminder, we are coming slowly to the end of tonight. So if you are thinking about putting something into the chat, now would be the time to do so. And they really wanted to express their admiration for what you've accomplished during the career. So we certainly couldn't fit everything in here, but we did receive a lot of those messages. I do understand that you received a personal card from Premier John Horgan yesterday, thanking you. I think Justin Trudeau and Joe Biden also sent their regards. I may have called them and used the word president, but I might have left out the fact that it was of Okanagan College. So anyway, they thanked you for the significant contributions to the post-secondary sector, obviously, and we thought we would give you the final words in this section of the program to him. And he made the following comments during the recent press conference, and we thought they'd be good to play for everybody here.
I want to thank Jim for his tireless service in the college sector over 40 years, and of course 16 years at Okanagan College. And if Dr. Facina is not see fit to invite you back to either the groundbreaking or the conclusion in 2023, Jim, I'll certainly extend that invitation. But I think it's an absolute certainty. Your tireless work to advance and promote the various campuses of Okanagan College over the years. This is a great end to what has been an outstanding career serving the people of British Columbia. So I lift my hands and thank you for all of that effort. And I'm grateful that you were here today to make this announcement.
But that was indeed a good day for people who don't know quite what it's all about. It's what amounts to $67.5 million a capital project providing housing on 3 of our campuses. So my thanks to the Premier and government for their part in that. So yeah, it was kind of surprising. I got the note because I'd sent him a letter saying thank you. And then all of a sudden I got this personally handwritten note back again. So it reminds me of something Steve Tuck said a long time ago, that the person who takes time to write a note by hand to give to somebody in thanks is a person who really does care and who really does respect the person to whom they send the note. So that's thank you for putting that into the program.
And with that, sort of the final little bit from me, we have a little something for you that's kind of on behalf of all those who've shared stories with us tonight, all those who wanted to, and on behalf of all the friends and colleagues you have at this institution. And it's the, you see a small picture of it actually on that opening.
I did.
You did, yeah. And it is actually a real book.
Yeah.
And you'll see we do have for everyone at home, we do have some pictures that are coming up there. We'll be able to have a look through that. And it's really a reminder of kind of all the projects, initiatives, activities that you've done over the years. And it's hoping that it kind of reminds you of just how highly regarded you are by your friends, colleagues, and those of us who had the pleasure of working and laughing with you at the institution.
Oh, thank you so much. I will look forward to sharing this with my family. I won't read it all right now because I know that at least one person I talked to today said that he's going to quit listening after an hour. I haven't talked yet, and I really wouldn't want him to miss my speech. So thank you so much. I'll treasure this. And it is my favorite color, as I tell my grandchildren. There's only 2 good colors, green and blue. So this is green.
So coming to the end of the evening tonight, I guess this is where I'm wrapping up for myself. So I think from the bottom of my heart, obviously thank you for everything you've done for the college. And Chris actually hinted at it for me in terms of my experiences in that, I've been working here since 2002. I've been faculty, chair, associate dean, all the way through. And I think what has struck me most about you has been that throughout that whole time, you have never treated me any differently. You talked to me with as much respect, no matter where I was in the institution, whether I just started or whether I was a veteran. So that has meant a lot, and certainly something that I've tried to emulate in my leadership role here at the college.
Thank you.
And with that, I'd like to invite Gloria Morgan, Chair of Okanagan College Board, to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. I am Splachina Tuswapm of the Shuswap First Nation. Hi, Jim. It's an honor to be here today as chair of the Okanagan College Board of Governors and as your friend. First, on behalf of the Board of Governors and our college, Jim, your contributions to our communities and the post-secondary system over almost 41 years will have a lasting impact. We, the college, wanted to provide you with a gift to recognize your retirement that would continue that legacy. Therefore, I am pleased to announce that Okanagan College will be donating $10,000 to a scholarship fund set up in your name. I understand that the Okanagan College Foundation and the Okanagan College Alumni Association will also be making significant contributions to establish the fund. While we will look to you to help set up the criteria for the award, the focus will be to support Indigenous learners, something I know you wholeheartedly support. It was mentioned briefly about a blanket ceremony. On December 10th, 2020, Chief Derrickson and the West Bank First Nation honored you in a blanket ceremony, and that signifies a community's tremendous respect, which is seldom an honor given to someone outside the nation. Jim, you were honored for your hard work and commitment towards reconciliation, and Chief Derrickson said this: long before the narrative around reconciliation became fashionable, Jim was leading Okanagan College and encouraging provincial and national colleagues and organizations to realize that meaningful change was needed. Jim, during my years as a board member and as chair, I've been amazed by you and how you conduct yourself, whether it's in a small group or a large group, in front of students or staff, employee groups, provincial or national organizations. Jim, you have transformed lives and communities through your hard work and dedication. Let me get my drum, it's keeping warm. This is a Secwepemc song to honor you. Way ha hey oh, way ha hey oh, way ha hey oh, way ha hey oh, way ha. Jim, we all know that you won't be a stranger after the end of this month. My dad, who was chief and counselor for many years of my First Nations community, he always said, don't say goodbye. Just say, see you later. So Jim, I hold up my hands to you and say thank you. And we'll see you later. Take care, my friend.
Thank you, Gloria. And thank you. A ceremony would not be complete without your words of wisdom and your kindness and your beautiful singing voice and drumming. So thank you for sharing that with us again. And you're right, you won't be getting rid of me that easily. Thank you so much for for co-creating the award fund. Yes, it will be going towards supporting First Nations learners. Everybody thinks I'm crying. I'm not really crying. It's just I got hand sanitizer in my eyes earlier today. That's what somebody said to say, should this happen? So I'm moved. Yeah, so that's an award fund that is being in the process of being set up. I had a wonderful meeting yesterday with two of our Indigenous staff members, Jewel Gillies and Anthony Isaac, as we began the process of discussing how we could actually put this money to the best possible use. So Gloria, I'll be coming to you for advice too at some point very soon. Thank you.
And with that, I understand you'd like to introduce our incoming president.
I would. So quite a few years ago, when I was first appointed as what was then called the regional principal of the Kalmalka campus, I attended a retirement party for my predecessor, Whitney Buggy, a wonderful guy. And Whitney was gracious enough to introduce me to the audience at that event, although the event was in his honor. And I'd like to continue that tradition by welcoming Dr. Neil Facina to this evening's event. You'll see Neil on the screen. And Dr. Facina is coming to us from Athabasca University, where he has been serving as a president for the past 5 years-ish. 5, Neil? Close.
Yeah, close.
Okay. Pretty close. Prior to that, he served as the provost and vice president academic at Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. And I'd like to invite Neil now to say a few words. Neil?
Thank you so very much, Jim. I can't thank you enough for enabling me to be part of your retirement celebration. Not only to be present, but to have the honor and the kindness that you've shown in introducing me to the community. And I think it truly speaks volumes to your inclusive leadership style. To suggest that I'm honored to be following you would be the understatement of the day. And I might also add, it's a little intimidating given the impact that you've had and many of the comments that have come out this evening. But as I've begun to meet a number of the people in the Okanagan College circles, to a person, everyone I speak with has the utmost respect for you and often describe you as a statesman and a true ambassador of higher education, not only in BC, but all across the country. And I can personally confirm as much because you have been the utmost caring, professional, and scholar as you have gifted me insights into your knowledge over the last number of months. The grace that you've shown me is the grace that you've shown me is incredible and rooted, I'm sure, in your continued commitment to the success of this college. And I know that some tonight might be expecting me to speak of you leaving big shoes to fill. This, however, is not going to do justice to your legacy. The immediate and long-term future of Okanagan College is incredibly bright, it's vibrant, and it's exciting. And I can use these descriptors tonight because of your leadership. So I'm going to rely more on a quote from Isaac Newton that goes, "If you have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." And Jim, know that I will strive to honor your legacy by building upon it as we continue to transform lives and communities through the many regions and communities that are enabled and supported by Okanagan College. And Jim, it is my hope that together we will make you proud in the years to come. So congratulations on an incredible journey at Okanagan College and on your first step into what I am sure will be a rewarding next chapter of your personal journey with Liz and your family. So Jim, all the best, and I look forward to connecting over wine in person when time and conditions permit.
Well, thank you, Neil, for those kind words and for being part of this event. I've been in regular contact with Neil for the past few months, and I'm confident that he will work well with all of you to ensure the college continues to prosper. And I'll be watching with interest what new and wonderful directions Neil and the team take, knowing that if there has been one constant theme in the 40+ years of my career and my association with this institution, it has been one of embracing change. Now, some changes we seek and some find us, and sometimes catching us unawares. I want to note that I never set out to become a president of this or any other college, but I am glad I had this opportunity to work with all of you in that capacity as together we took this institution into its next stages of development. And I think we did a pretty good job of moving from initial uncertainty to success on so many fronts. So it's somehow appropriate that I finish my career as president, much like I started it, in a time of significant, unexpected transition. Thanks to COVID, this has not been the slow slide into retirement that I envisioned over a year ago. I was really looking forward actually to months of leisurely farewell visits in person, replete of course with excellent cuisine, superb Okanagan wine and Okanagan chocolate, college chocolate, and great reminiscences. Instead, we had to find other ways of celebrating, and here we are today on Zoom. But you know, this works for me, being surrounded by so many of my friends and colleagues, albeit virtually, and feeling all these best wishes, respect, and love. My many thanks to Joanna Campbell, who has been the chief organizer of this and many other important occasions over the past 16 years. Now I hear, Neil, that you've already taken to introducing her as a rock star. I have just one thing to say. Just wait until you experience the full scope of her greatness. I struggled to find an appropriate focus for my words today. I'm pretty proud of the many accomplishments of the college. Some have talked about them already. I won't give you the long list, but I'm pretty proud of the 70% growth in enrollments, the fact that we've quadrupled the number of Indigenous learners, The high standards we've set for sustainable construction and soon to be over $240 million worth of construction since 2005. The huge success of our foundation in raising millions for capital projects and student support. The rapid growth of our applied research profile, the pathways we've created for students, including our local partnerships with Indigenous communities, UBC, and the many school districts. And of course, the significant increases in access to more programs for more students throughout the region we serve. This list is incomplete because it does not include the many achievements of our students and contributions of our alumni, of which I am equally proud. So you see my dilemma. If I go down that road, it's going to be a long one. So instead, let me make two observations. First of all, the success that we have enjoyed didn't come out of nowhere. Today's Okanagan College was built on decades of development at the original college and Okanagan University College. So I need to acknowledge the great work done by my predecessors, especially former presidents Dr. Bill Bowring, whom you heard from this evening, and the late Dr. Katie Vinton. In 2005-06, we started with a very strong foundation on which to build. Secondly, I also want to acknowledge the work of others. Too often, I've found that people tend to credit all successes to the person bearing the title of president. As I'm sure the many presidents online with us this evening will agree, true leaders are not the sole keepers of the flame, let alone responsible for all the good things that happen in places such as Okanagan College. Back in my grad school days at Queen's University, my thesis supervisor was appointed Dean of Graduate Studies. And when I asked him what the Dean did, he gave me a good insight into an important leadership quality. He said that his main job was to help good people with great ideas realize their aspirations for the institution. I've tried to keep that guidance in mind, and I have witnessed its truth so many times over the years, both here at Okanagan College and in many other organizations. I guess what I'm saying is this. This is a team sport, and that I'm very proud to have led a team of such exceptional people who served in so many ways, so many capacities during my time here. It's particularly good to know that almost all the original core group in that first transition are online, including Dr. Andrew Hay, Alan Coyle, and the retired Steve Cayley. And Neil, I'm confident that you are joining an exceptional executive, including the relative rookies, Mary Kim Oliver, Vice President Students, and Curtis Morcom, the keeper of the funds and builder of buildings. You're going to enjoy them, and I can't wait to see what you will do as a team. So the importance of team was reinforced profoundly when I undertook what I'll call the COVID grand tour of all 4 campuses last week, saying goodbye to as many people as I could safely. We shared many stories, we celebrated some milestone achievements, and we speculated on the future. And I'm very grateful for the unexpected gifts that I received, but most of all, for the message of support and the best wishes and the chance to spend a few minutes face-to-face, COVID style, with some of the many people who have contributed so much over the years to this college. It made me realize how blessed I have been to have worked with such a diverse group who share some common values and are so committed to our students and our communities. I said at the beginning, and we're nearing the end, that I never set out to be a president, but I have been so lucky to have had this opportunity. So today I'm in front of you with a heart full of pride, humility, and gratitude to so many. And I want to say thanks to all of you. To all of my colleagues within the institution, thank you so much for sharing your talents in the noble cause of public service. I appreciate all that you have done. To all members of the various Okanagan College boards I have served, thank you for your leadership, your advice, and your support. I believe all the board chairs with whom I have worked are here with us today, except, unfortunately, Tom Stife, who passed away last year. Thank you, Norm, Janet, Lance, Connie, Chris, and Gloria. It means a lot that you are here, as well as other current and former board members. To the past and current members of the Okanagan College Foundation Board, thank you for your tremendous contribution to the college. From President Emeritus Steve Tuck to current board chair Gladys Fraser, I thank you and all your fellow board members. It is also great to see the founding executive director, Kathy Butler, is with us, as well as many of our campaign leaders, including my good friends Jim Henderson and Al Kempf, who are also foundation board presidents. To the many community leaders and donors allied with the college, thank you for being so integral to the pursuit of our mission for all those years. Without you, we would not be where we are today. To all my colleagues from across the country, thanks for allowing me to be part of this provincial and national movement that adds such value to the economic, social, and cultural fabric of our communities. I especially want to acknowledge Denise Samuel, the president and CEO of CICAN, and Colin Ewart, currently president of BC Colleges, and also his predecessor, Jim Reed, all of whom I think are online this evening as well. A big part of the success of the college flows from the great support we've received over the years from municipal as well as provincial and federal governments of all political stripes. It is wonderful that we are joined by MLA Ben Stewart, a stalwart ally both in office and in his private life, and MLA Harwinder Sandhu, who announced our new housing projects just a short while ago. I also appreciate the attendance of former MLA and college champion Steve Thompson, as well as Mayor James Baker, who's not only the mayor of Lake Country several terms, but was a colleague of mine when he was on faculty at the original Okanagan College. We have benefited from all of your assistance over the years. Perhaps most important of the successes in my career have been, most important to the successes in my career, have been the sacrifices and support of my family. My 4 children, Tanya, Sarah, Heather, and Andrew, all of whom have been students at Okanagan College or OUC, are online today, along with most of our 8 grandchildren. Thank you to them all, and a huge special thanks to Liz, who's been with me throughout my entire career, not to mention 49 years of marriage as of tomorrow. Thank you so much for your love, patience, advice, and tolerance, especially during these final months of my presidency, as I have struggled with the prospect of retirement during the time of COVID. I may have been a little grumpy from time to time. I apologize. It was a hand sanitizer. I wish I had time to express my gratitude to all of you individually, but it is time to close by saying this. What brings together such a diverse group today is not so much to celebrate the changing of the guard at Okanagan College. That is important, but it is really to celebrate what we have accomplished together in our shared quest to harness the power of education to transform lives and communities, which just happens to be the mission statement of Okanagan College. So thank you all for being with me tonight and sharing in this wonderful occasion, and a special thanks to those who organized it.
Thank you, Jim. And with that, it brings us to the end of the speaking element of tonight. Feel free to stay online and view the pictures that we're going to share of the content of Jim's book, the gift that we've just given him. And also free, if you have any last minute comments you'd like to share in the chat, please feel free to do so. And for me personally, I'd just like to thank Joanna Campbell, obviously, for all of her work in keeping Jim and I in line and on script, and Tyler Finley on the back end, who's been coordinating some of the videos. So obviously this doesn't run itself, and it's quite a challenge managing Jim and I at the best of times. So, so thank you to both of you. And with that, thank you very much. Thanks for coming out this evening.